historical event is AIDS. The beginning of the AIDS epidemic was actually well before the 80s, but HIV and AIDS were identified in the early 80s, and they started calling them that, and people became more aware of it. Not that many people died, like not any more than any other big disease, but people started fearing it more. They got really scared, trying to figure out how they could prevent it. If you had it, what do you do? In '87, the government actually made a brochure. It was called AIDS, Don't Die of Ignorance. And they sent it out to to households across the country, telling you, like, if you need more information about it, where can you go, or giving you more information, how can you protect yourself from it, what do you do if you think you're infected, how can you prevent other people from getting it. They discussed it on TV. There was a TV show called First AIDS that you could watch and learn about it and be informed. There was an AIDS hotline that you could call. People just made a huge deal about it. And AIDS awareness programs actually picked up a lot. One of Sam's artists, she'll talk about later, he was actually very involved in that, so she'll talk about that more later.
And then our most influential historical figure was Ronald Reagan, who was the 40th president. He was also a Republican, and his term lasted our whole decade, basically 81 to 89. His biggest contribution to the U.S. was his theory of Reaganomics, which was basically a series of bills that stressed the excise taxes and things like that, excessive taxes, and also he was also the only president who was an actor and was elected president. He was a professional actor before he was elected president. And then also someone also attempted to assassinate him, and he survived. But we're going to watch a video that is a narrated version of the attempt.
Major moment seared in history. The attempted assassination of President Reagan in March 1981. This rare, unedited video of the shooting captures the chaos and stunning clarity. It sat on a shelf in a Washington News archive for nearly a quarter century. It was found just after President Reagan's death in 2004, among tapes that were going to be trashed. Washington News Network Director of Operations, Mike Seam.
When I first popped the tape in the deck, I was amazed, I was surprised.
Press Secretary James Brady flinches as he's struck by the bullet which changed his life. 25 years later, the effects are still apparent as he speaks bitterly about John Hinckley on Thursday's Good Morning America.
I'd like to give him a taste of his own medicine.
The video shows the heart-stopping sights and sounds after the shooting as the camera keeps rolling. Secret Service agents call repeatedly for a patrol car for shooter John Hinckley, who is behind a mound of cops and federal agents. Secret Service agent Tim McCarthy lies wounded, tended by another agent. 2 minutes and 10 seconds after the first shots ring out, gunman John Hinckley is led away. Incredibly, the posse of agents and D.C. police officers around Hinckley can't open the rear door, and they take him to a second patrol car. It all happens just as an ambulance arrives to aid the wounded. The wounded president was taken to the hospital seconds after the shooting, but there was still a scene of carnage on the sidewalk with Brady, McCarthy, and another victim, Washington, D.C. police officer Tom Delahanty, laying wounded. The moment as shocking now, a quarter of a century later.
Okay, and even though he's a very respected president, he was known for his bills passed in 1981 that led to the biggest deficit since the Great Depression, which was a big deal during this time.
Okay,
Now into visual art. For the most influential artist, I have Keith Haring. Keith Haring was born May 4th on 1958, and he grew up in Pennsylvania, and he loved to draw with his father, just, doodle and stuff. And he also admired the work of Walt Disney. And he moved to New York City after dropping out of college. He was going to art school, and he loved the street life of New York City, and he fit in so perfectly with everything. And later I'll talk about, I'll show you more pictures about it, but he also, when he would see something, he would just kind of draw it on the back of a road sign or draw it in the middle of a subway station. He just kind of put his art everywhere, and that's really how people started to recognize him. And the reason he was so influential was because, sadly, in 1988, at the young age of 30, he found out that he had AIDS. And a year later, in 1989, he established the Keith Haring Foundation, where it was assisting AIDS and children's charities across the United States. And for the most influential work of art, I have picked We the Youth. Now this is a mural or graffiti, which is the movement that you can put in style, since we don't have a blank for that. But it's just a huge mural on the side of a Philadelphia apartment complex that he painted in 1987. And the medium is acrylic, just, it's an apartment complex. And on the next slide, I have really a close-up of just the artwork that's on the apartment complex. And if you look, you can see like the intricate designs inside of all the people, which really is just a symbolism of individuality without AIDS. And at the left, I have a baby that he drew, which was like, it meant purity, and then just a dog that, if he saw a dog walking up the streets of New York, he would sort of just put it on a sign. And these were really like his trademarks, and instead of like putting Keith Haring at the bottom of his artwork, he would just put either the baby or a dog or other small trademarks that he had come up with. And sadly, on February 6, 1990, at the young age of 32, he died of AIDS complications. And next we have the most influential song, well, music, and the most influential song, which is We Are the World by USA for Africa. And USA for Africa, USA does not stand for United States of America, it actually stands for United Support of Artists for Africa, which was established in 1985, and it's actually a charity of artists that supported countries and tried to get them stable, and instead of being so dependent on other countries such as the US to maintain a decent economy. And it of course included very popular artists in the decade. And the single, We Are the World, sold $60 million worth of copies nationwide, well, worldwide for that matter. And the $60 million was distributed to third world countries such as Sudan, Ethiopia, and of course Africa. And now I'd like to show you the video, and you'll see that you have blanks to fill in names. I'm going to read the names in order of appearance, and you all can just jot down names as we go along.